Hey guys! What's up? Alpha Lion Simba here, and welcome to another Prehistoric Profile. Well, it's dinosaur time once again, and this time I'm diving into the Ceratopsian dinosaurs. So that means it's time to stand tough, because our first one is the most famous Ceratopsian of all, Triceratops, or three-horned face. All right, enough gabbing. Let's stand tough. Triceratops lived 86 to 65 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period. Although hundreds of their fossils have been found, they are restricted to a small area of western North America in Wyoming and Montana in the United States and Saskatchewan and Alberta in Canada. Triceratops was first discovered in Colorado in 1889 by John Bell Hatcher and Othniel Charles Marsh. One of the most dedicated collectors of Triceratops fossils was John Bell Hatcher. Working in Wyoming from 1888 to 1892, he gathered 33 skulls, the largest of which weighed more than 3.3 tons. And Barnum Brown did even better. He claimed to have seen more than 500 skulls. In the west of North America, hundreds of fragments of Triceratops' teeth, horns, and frills, and other pieces of the skull were discovered, leading to the conclusion that Triceratops was one of the most common herbivores of the late Cretaceous. Some paleontologists go further and class this dinosaur as the most dominant of its time. American paleontologist Robert Baker reckoned in 1986 that Triceratops accounted for more than 80% of all large dinosaurs at the end of the Cretaceous period. Since their discovery, Triceratops is thus far the largest ceratopsian discovered and among the world's most famous dinosaurs. In fact, this dinosaur was so famous that in 1994, local school children voted Triceratops to be the state fossil of Wyoming. It's also the state dinosaur of South Dakota. Triceratops was one of the last dinosaurs to have evolved, so it represents, along with other freshly evolved species, a new faunal phase of the Dinosauria that was killed in its tracks prematurely. With a body build almost similar to that of a modern-day rhinoceros, Triceratops was the size of an elephant. A fully grown adult measured roughly 30 feet, or 9 meters long, stood 9.5 feet, or 2.9 meters tall, and weighed as much as 8 to 12 tons, or 17,000 to 26,000 pounds. And it had a huge head, the equal in weight to a small car, with the skull measuring up to 9 to 11 feet, or 28 to 3.5 meters long. All of this makes Triceratops, thus far, the largest ceratopsian dinosaur. But of course, we all know what Triceratops was most famous for. Those 3 horns. It bore a small single horn on the snout above the nostrils and a pair of longer, very sharp horns above each eye. In fact, one Triceratops horn could measure 3 feet long. Triceratops used its horns both to defend itself against predators such as Tyrannosaurus rex, and males would use them in fights for dominance. A Triceratops did not have horns at birth, but grew them as it reached adulthood. And, like all ceratopsian dinosaurs, Triceratops had a big, bony frill on the back of its head. It could be flushed red with blood when aggravated to intimidate rivals. Unlike most of its relatives, which other ceratopsids had large fenestrae in their frills, Triceratops' frills were noticeably solid. Therefore, it lacked the two holes that are covered with skin on its frill, allowing it to use it as a shield to protect its neck from attack, as well as using it for display. Triceratops had pillar-like legs, a bit like those of an elephant, to support its huge bulk. And it held out its tail long, and the tail acted as a balance for the heavy head. And it's most likely that Triceratops could charge at very fast speeds. If a human was ever unfortunate enough to stand in the way of a charging Triceratops, it would be comparable to being hit by a train moving 10 to 15 miles per hour. Plus, due to its massive size, Triceratops was a very strong dinosaur, enough to push a tractor over onto its side. Like all ceratopsians, Triceratops was a herbivore. They weren't grazing animals like cows, but instead, they were browsers like modern-day black rhinos. And as such, Triceratops fed on low trees, shrubs, and ferns. The front of its jaws formed a beak similar to a parrot's. It used the sharp edges of the beak to cut through vegetation. Like all ceratopsians and many other herbivorous dinosaurs in general, Triceratops lived and traveled in large herds made up of hundreds, even thousands of individuals, filling up the plains of North America, much like modern-day bison. And if the herd was ever attacked by a predator, the herd would form a defensive circle around their young, much like with modern-day elephants and muskox. Another part of their lives was jousting with one another. Like most, if not all members of the ceratopsian family, Triceratops had jousting tournaments in nature during times like the mating season, when males fought over females, when two males were fighting for dominance, or when juveniles jousted for fun, injuring their frill and neck. Well, that was it. My prehistoric profile on Triceratops. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked it. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, leave requests in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Alpha Lion Simba,